Vando, Harden, DK, that's collectively that like almost three. Sharp and Sharp's getting decent. He's getting up to 10 million now, and then why not? Let's see, he's still at the 4.5. Okay, so yeah, you. I mean, in this case, you'd only be saving about roughly 8 million, eight and a half. So I think five in this case would still be what time like I forget if it's I was reading time, but Matisse would be a minimum guy, and then JK maybe 7.5, 8 is enough for him. I feel like that's a little low. I think it's probably gonna want double digit, 2 year 20 million, 2 year 24 or something in that range, but that might just be the best offer he gets. So yeah, then target. I would prioritize DJJ over him. Yeah, I think the Sharp. I think Sharp and Minot have already gone through, or Minot had was Minot a team option? I'm forgetting if Minot was I forget if Minot was a team option or what his contract, but Sharp they declined and renegotiated. So yeah, I don't think this next trade would work. Then that's something new. I would say, so I want to reserve my judgment, and this even applies to Chris Magnon, but like Cameron Carr, Adu, Chris Magnon, I want to see just more games from them, more of a sample size, right? So I'm going to be out there in summer league, Vegas, and we'll be watching Friday and Saturday, and maybe their final game. So I do want to consume your film, watch them in person, and just get a larger sample size with my overall thoughts with where each of those guys is at, whether the teams are portraying. I would say with the dude, to me, he still looks pretty raw, and I don't think the current form of the dude looks like a rotation player. And to the point that like I think if I were JJ and I viewed Vando the way that I think JJ views Vando, I still would kind of be like, even with all the rewards for this, and this is obviously partly contingent on if they even keep Vando or not, if they trade him, but I would even be like, I would play Vando over a dude. Like, you know, I think a dude's going to have the opportunity to show that he should play ahead of Vando. Again, the caveat that Vando might not be on the roster, but if he's on the roster, I think a dude's going to be given opportunities to surpass Vando because that's better for the team longer term. But between two, Vando just has more. He's better at channeling his physical gifts than the dude is. Now, that said, I think the dude has had some flashes that have been nice. I think the especially as the roll man, some of his rolls to the basket, and him reading screens as you know, with the screening angle, but also the way he slips, or you know, some of the trickery with maybe like tapping a guy and going the other way. Just little stuff like that. If you can get nuances within his game, I've seen some growth with him as a roll man and the way that they're using him. But he's also had these drives where he's completely out of control and just barreling through the lane and is turning it over or throwing up wild shots. And I would like to see a little more refinement to his game. And to be completely honest, like they're only apart. Different level. Like I don't get the rough, quiet first half whatever today and ends up I guess having some Antonio situation. But Cameron Carr for the first two games is like, I mean, that he looked like Cameron Carr looked like a second year guy, or even like a second year guy going into his third year who you play for 1 or 2 games at summer league and you just ice them from not playing on. The dude looks like he really needs the rep. So I still remain bullish on the dude. I think you see the screenshot of like him battling what was it for like the lob or the offensive rebound or whatever, his arms, his elbows above the rim. Like he's in that like 0.1% athlete that he just pops on the court anytime he's out there. And I think that's what makes him such a tantalizing prospect. But I think he's really got to work on slowing down a bit, letting the game come to him, work on his reads, work on his processing. And I think I will say I think there's progress in comparing game 2 to game 1. I think game 1 was far more out of control. And I think he did do certain things better in the second game. And I think defensively, the playmaking has been at a high level. You see it with the blocks, the steals, the deflections. I think he can be a little disciplined.
Oh, that was not automatic.
And part of this is some of the basketball too. It's not the most organized or aesthetic or process-oriented basketball as it could be or should be. But yeah, I would say like he's been. There's been some things I've liked. There's been some things I haven't liked. I do want to give him more time though. That's the big thing I want to circle back to. Is that I don't want to write him off and be like, oh, well, he's not going to play this year or he's not a rotation guy. Like he needs to continue to develop. He's got some raw elements to his game that he needs to refine, continue to watch film, work on it in practice, and get more reps. But I think especially if the Lakers roster ends up where they do these 3-for-1, 4-for-1 situations, shed multiple guys, there is a scenario which he ends up being like the 9th or 10th man, and they're gonna need that athleticism, motor, boot on finish defense. They could use it. It's just on him if he can figure that he's ready. Because I think there's an element with him where just knowing JJ and in general coaches with young players, like if you're making there are certain mistakes that coaches just hate, and I feel like the dude does some of them where I can see that being a frustrating thing for JJ that limits his playing time. Where if he cleans up some of that stuff, that's also where I can see him potentially growing on the job, if that makes sense, where they are giving him the reps and he's growing on the fly. Whereas Kevin Carr, he's not perfect, he's got his things he's got to work on, but like, dude's just an offensive weapon. Like, you could use him in so many different ways, and already he looks like a second or third year player on the offensive end. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now with the dude, but again, I want to reserve full judgment for larger sample size. And also, there's a whole question here, like, can he stay healthy? And him now, he had the hard fall the other day, and that's apparently where this wrist situation came from. Like, just his playing style is pretty reckless, and it's entertaining, but think about some of the guys like John Morant, Derrick Rose, some of these high-fly guys early in their career, that they have to learn how to tone it down a bit. I think the dude is contemplating an outcome. J-Rock and Super Chat, I feel like DK and Harden picks and get players like that. Yeah, I think that's fair. I really think any non-Vando package is gonna be relatively solid in terms of what you can get. I think it's when you add Vando into the package that's when it gets tricky. But yeah, something like that. I think you could probably get someone at the City Bay-ish level. I think that's a good game. Sound on low group thing. What was the second round pick for the Mavs trade executed? Do we still have the full $8.5 million to send out as cash consideration of the Vando trade? That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it resets. If you're talking about, I'm pretty sure that was in the previous transaction cycle, so it would reset. I believe it does reset every new cycle, but I'm pretty sure the second round pick trade was the previous transaction cycle, and the Lakers do have their full 2.5. So that's another thing here. They could throw in cash for the Bulls in particular. That could be an enticing proposition. The Bulls love cash, and so you can't throw in cash in a trade. I think there are some restrictions with it. I don't think you can throw in full 8.5. I think it's like $5 million or something like that. But again, this is where the CBA gets very complicated. J-Rock and Chat, I don't feel about going after Risa Shea yet again.
How? I don't understand how these people think that you're just gonna fucking get Risa Shea for like nothing. Like, he's a really good player.
One of the minimum guys, like, sure, you're talking to Risa Shea, but depends on the price and what series. Also wonder, like, are they willing to sell?
That's a scratch. You never hit the pole.
Then he has a 17.4 million club option, which I assume would be declined, but maybe it's just picked up because of the optics. Well, yeah, they got it inside that for almost 5 months or 4 months. Yeah, October. At 13.8, I don't. I think that's too much. I think if the offseason played out a certain way and the Lakers don't like, I'm like trying to talk myself into it. I would not. I'd be okay with being Reese Shea's second team and like second contract at a much lower number, but not in the double-digit millions. LA 824 in the super chat. Brian Conley was actually replaced Smart with a really decent series. Does LA still win? Love Kessler, but rather keep posturing to the players at the prices LA chooses still get Watson. Yeah, let's take this question by question. So this is tough because one of the unknowns here with the young guys or the new guys and the younger guys is that Sexton and Kessler have not played in the playoffs. I know you didn't mention Kessler here, but Sexton and Kessler have not played in the playoffs. Grimes has played in 2 playoff series, and Longo's played in 1. And so they are entirely unproven, and there's just a lot of question marks. Now, unproven does not mean bad. Worse offensive playoffs than you would have wanted, probably better defensive playoffs. So, like, you can judge that how you want to judge that. And then Mamu had a pretty rough first-round series against Cleveland. Played into shot 28%. Pretty tough defensive series. So I guess through that, like, I mean, objectively, Ruby was better than any of these. Like, Sexton, we also put inside. We don't know what's going to be like, but like, I think if you were ranking those 5 guys, really smart, but easily had Grimes based on his basketball season, and Luke maybe quibble with Grimes or Lonzo versus Luke just because, like, I think they're obviously better players than Luke, based on how Luke was playing and the slot in there. Like, if you took off Luke and put Grimes in there, I think that would have been an overall upgrade. But with how smart and Rui are playing, Rui averaged 18 points a game in the playoffs, so he shot 50% of threes, and yeah, that's just better than Grimes at all. So I would say the Lakers do again, it's kind of going back to that roster wasn't built. I think this roster is trying to be more geared around Austin, and that team had half of Austin for that series and then didn't have Luka at all. So it's a little. It's different, right? Well, who is the win is, I guess it depends how much you believe in Houston. But, like, objectively, Marcus was huge in those first 3 wins. Luke had a couple of Boston games, first couple of games, and Rui was big throughout the whole series, including game 6, similar thing with Marcus. So, I mean, just based on the performance last postseason, really small sample size, but I don't know. I think it's a downgrade for sure. Do the Lakers still win the series? It's still LeBron. You don't have Kessler. I think I'm going to go 7 and then adopt who knows, but I think objectively those guys perform worse than there's no way. And one of the guys should have played, so it's just tough to do. 50 Kings are getting to chat. Come on, no chance for PW, JL, Martin, Pickens, and Swap. I mean, I don't think so. Like, second round picks are still second round picks, and Peyton Watson was a 4+ player last year. So if I'm now continuing to get this strong, and if Denver coaches differently, Denver coaches differently. Peyton Watson to me is clearly a better player than Cam Johnson or Christian Brown, and is going to like that contract is going to age better. Like he's probably going to get a similar number to Christian Brown, and he's a better player than Christian Brown. So if I'm Denver, I'm moving heavily in order to keep Peyton Watson and send out Cam Johnson and Christian Brown. Like losing Peyton Watson is a non-negotiable for me. So 3 second-round picks and a pick swap pick by Tom Tina is not enough for me to get off that. Plus Jake Aranda on Jaden Hardy. Like if you're Denver, you are kicking. You also have to put yourself in Denver shoes. Denver's on like a limited timeline here, kind of with Jokic and Murray and Gordon. Like they're trying to go for it. Trading Peyton Watson for Jake Aranda and Jaden Hardy is a massive step back and does not get you any closer to the title, get further from the title. So yeah, I don't think that's enough. Maybe is that enough for Cam Johnson? Maybe that might be enough for Cam Johnson, but I don't think that's enough for Cam Johnson. A three-teamer from I've talked about this before. Second round picks typically 3 second round picks is roughly the equivalent to a first. So if you look at it as basically a first round swap for PJ, I think Dallas would have to consider that. I don't know if Dallas would do that. I don't know if optically with the Lakers they want like, oh, we got a first from the Lakers, or the Lakers would need to reroute the 3 seconds to get back a first and then maybe put the first in the deal, something like that. But I think that's fair. And I would do that from the Lakers. This is a nice follow-up here from Zink. Asks in the super chat, you think Dallas would give up PJ without a first? Seems like it would have happened already. If not, maybe acquired them. What do you think about Carr for both PJ and Russo? So I just mentioned I think you could probably flip those 3 seconds for a first. I think there would be probably like a great first, but teams like say they got a first for a player, so there's like an optics element within that. So Carr now is a restriction because he signed. He can't be traded for a month, so technically it doesn't mean you can't go acquire these guys later in the offseason, but just want to note that. I would really try to refrain from trading Cameron Carr. I think there's the obvious upside element here of just potentially risking, regretting trading him, but you want, with how much Luka, Austin, and Walker Kessler are going to cost, you want rookie scale contract guys as much as possible, and I would argue that Carr compared to any of the other guys you want to compare him to, Hardy's obviously maybe a bit more, but like Hardy, Connect, Adu, Bronny, I think Carr's at a different level as a prospect and a different level as an asset. So I think that would get Dallas's attention, and I think he would play ball with you to figure something out. But I would strongly prefer to keep Carr in this instance. Now, there are players that I would consider giving him up for, but if I'm the Lakers, I am trying to keep as many of these guys, preferably Carr and then you, the 2 guys I'm looking at. Like, if these guys pop with their athleticism, their skill set, their physical profile, they can be very valuable, cheap, young talent on our team for the next few years. Like that's not saying they're not untouchable, that there are, but like to me, it's a borderline place where I like PJ a lot. He's probably my top realistic guy in my opinion. Lakers get, but I don't know if he's at the level where I want to give up. Like obviously, I think he's objectively worth Carr. I just would be a little bit pickier with it because the Lakers don't have this plethora of young talent that they're like. If the Lakers had an army of young talent, it's a different story, right? Like if Max Christie was still on the roster or whatever, like okay, you have some guys that are still like number. He's Carr, and for 7 years of his career. Jamal, Jamal, I don't know what it is, but J.Mall. English super chat. Sup, y'all, one Laker fan from Alabama. I don't know if this is what would be your ideal Western summer for the Lakers. I'm not. I think for me, if we go back to some of the names that I'm looking at this list here, I'll take your chat off. My ideal player out of all these guys would be PJ Washington, and I think that number is a little like there's some risk with him approaching his 30s and some of the injury stuff, but I just think he fits nicely. And then I think like next year, for example, potentially try and get a 3D. Depending on how Grimes performs in the starting role, you could also be in a situation where you maybe get like another wing player, slot Grimes as your sixth man, and then if you're rolling into next season with Kessler, Washington, 3D, point of attack guy, X, you're really going to house rebuild at that point, or someone, Austin Luka, then your bench is Grimes, Mamu, Sexton, backup center Y, and then wing, big guard or wing Z. That to me is a really, and that can just be Cameron Carr, right? Like, so you backup center Cameron Carr. I like that combination. So I would say for me, on this list, to me, the best value of all is probably Derek Jones Jr. at 10.5 expiring. I just don't know what the Clippers situation, especially with the Lakers and Clippers not coming to terms on a signing trade with Rui. Knows Clippers just want to send money, they didn't want to send any pick or draft capital, so Lakers, why would Lakers do that just for money? I think Derek Jones Jr. is the best pick for your buck here, and then PJ Washington is probably the best player, the best pick, but then Kuminga is the one where if you're just getting off of money, you can just sign him or sign and trade for him, and you're probably holding, getting like it might be the most realistic and the cheapest overall price, right? Like Washington, maybe Jones, and maybe Dort, just from like a negotiating perspective, you might have to empty your clip in terms of seconds or the swap or whatever. Kuminga might be the one where, depending on what the final price is, you might be able to only do like 1 or 2 seconds or something and kind of keep some of your assets. They're trying to get off of it. Something against the team, right? Like, then they're trying to get off Christian Brown, okay? Drew, then they're trying to keep Cam Johnson. I would say that getting, like, that's my ideal like dream scenario. That, I mean, you can do a lot of things say the positive here. I'd say Cisse or Richards. I mean, that fits cheaper than Grimes. Yeah, I guess you could have all three of these guys against Kessler. Now, if you lost all those guys in the post, you could potentially got both of the Watson range, but I think probably
Piece of cake. Please subscribe to the channel, guys.
Denver probably above the overall to make 20s, but we probably have to go above that to actually try now. He might get there.
Please subscribe to the channel, guys. Thank you.